the Florence, Alabama area, just about to cross into Tennessee, moving northeast here, going through Killen right now. This has been a tornado that's been on the ground for a bit here. We're tracking a few different tornadoes, and it looks like that the warning has been extended out to Rogersville as of just now. This tornado has been seen here on the Florence camera. We're gonna try and go back on the webcam real quick here. I'm gonna try and get a visual on it from this web camera. I don't think I can go back far enough, unfortunately, but no, this is a confirmed tornado here. We have chasers on the ground. V-Chase team, I'm running radar. Got visual on it coming through Killen. Alrighty here. We are tracking this system right now. And I'm also keeping eyes down here on Tupelo area, which has its own tornado warning following this one. This one is radar indicated, but it may as well end up having its own tornado drop later on. This whole line looks like it could do some damage, whether with winds or tornadoes. Let's see what we can get here. Yeah, he's still chasing. This is a live tornado situation here that we're dealing with. We're watching it through Killen here. It is kind of moving east-northeast here. It is moving, let's see, let's go ahead and get you guys a speed for that. For anybody who lives in the area, it is moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. This is a confirmed tornado, so if you are within the warning range here, and even beyond it, go ahead and get into your tornado shelters at this time. Do not wait. Do not wait for this. This is a major tornado. I have confirmation from a chaser on the ground that this is a large tornado. We're going to try and see what we can see here from the camera up here in Tennessee. If it picks it up, we might be able to get a visual on it. Hey, Matt, welcome to the stream, sir. We are here in Alabama, northwestern Alabama, going into Tennessee, and we have a tornado on the ground right now. Trying to get a visual on it through these cameras, which these skies do look menacing based on the flashing of lightning we're seeing here. Let's try and get a visual, see what we can see. Alrighty, can't see anything yet. I do see that wall though. I do see that very low-hanging wall. It's very close to it. I mean, the tornado's down here. We might not be able to see it on this camera. It is a very beefy storm. This is a confirmed tornado with chasers on the ground right within here. It is actually very hard to see where the couplet is, but it is actually back in here. Moving towards Rogersville, Anderson, and Lexington, Alabama, as well as Minor Hill, Tennessee, Lester, Alabama, Bethel, Prospect, Elkton, along that I-65 area here. It will end up going just north of Huntsville, it would appear. Trying our best here to be able to get any sort of view on it, even if from a camera up here. Anything helps. You know, we're trying to get a visual on it to try and let people know what's going on here. But we do have a tornado on the ground here, moving northwest at about 45 miles an hour within this storm system. It is a large tornado with reported power flashes from storm chaser Chris Williamson, a part of the Dixie Alley team. Camera is being moved around. We may be able to locate it. That might be power flashes there in the back. That very well might be power flashes back there. Let's try and get a good visual on it here. See what we can see. And this is from the Minor Hill, Tennessee Hascam camera. We're trying to locate exactly where this tornado is in relative to it. It is southeast, but where? It's somewhere inside. Not on the leading edge, but not on the trailing flank either. So everybody down in this tornado warning needs to go ahead and get in their shelters. If you know anybody down in this area, go ahead and let them know. Please get in their shelters now. Alright, it is starting to move up towards this Lexington and Anderson area here.
Do we have a slight or enhanced risk tomorrow? I think it's only slight for Southern Alabama. I'll check real quick.
As of right now, it is a slight risk with a 5%. Speaking of that tornado, by the way, I am looking at it on radar. I got a camera that might have it visible in Minor Hill, Tennessee. Looking at it here, coming through the Rogersville, Anderson area. Still on the ground, according to reports.
Still on the whoa! Something just screwed across my truck. Still on the ground, as in maybe smaller, or is it keeping size?
Rotation looks a little broader than it was before. It doesn't look as defined, but then again, I haven't been able to see a very well-defined couplet on this thing simply because it's so well hidden by the winds on the front. But this is a confirmed tornado. It is now east of Killen, moving northeast at 45, heading towards the Lester area. Multiple reports of power flashes from storm chasers down there.
I need to find out if this thing ends up causing damage so I can go over there.
Understood. Gonna look back on radar a bit and see if I see any sort of CC drop in the Florence area. It went right through Florence.
I called a hotel in Florence just a few minutes ago. They said they didn't even go outside, so they wouldn't be able to tell me. But apparently the hotel's fine, so I don't know.
Understood. I got a few people in the chat on my live stream from that area. Said they got family there. I'm looking at radar right now. I'm not yet seeing any sort of CC drop that's notable, but I will keep looking for a damage path. It is reported, like I said, on the ground currently. All right, guys. We may have.
Actually, Tina Ringer is right behind the set. No way, Reed's in fucking Florence? No, just some guy literally named Tina Ringer.
He was on the Tupelo cell. If he's on this one, I'll pull up his live stream.
The inside of a tornado. Only.
Casey, do you have any updates about tomorrow afternoon, like morning afternoon?
It looks like overall that tornado threat's going to be more isolated. With it being slight risk 5%, I'm not really seeing much of an outbreak potential. I mean, the storms, yes, they're going to probably have a chance to produce, but it's not going to be the biggest chance in the world. My biggest concern for the upcoming days is going to probably be more so flooding than anything, but it doesn't look like the greatest chance for tornadoes, but I'd keep my eye open for any storm that looks capable.
Hey Casey, with it's gonna get real quiet after today. I mean, we got a little bit of action tomorrow, but it's about to get real quiet the rest of the weekend and week. Do we think this could charge up for something else later on, or what's up?
Well, saying the Q word like that, I mean, you might have just cost yourself some bad luck. No, I'm kidding. But I am looking outwards towards the 18th in the Oklahoma area, upwards towards the Dakotas. There is a notable explosion of supercell composite and energy helicity. That may be something to keep an eye on, but I'm not really seeing anything out east for a while after all this rain moves out.
Good job. That gives me time. I'm about to buy the light bar probably tomorrow or the day after, and do some fixing to my truck.
10-4. All right, guys, this storm is now moving through the Lexington, Anderson, and Rogersville area. It looks like it's kind of going linear here, so we may not actually have the tornado on the ground anymore, but I'm not going to say it's not on the ground.
Yes, on Radar Omega, there is a certified storm chaser all the way in Juba, Africa.
What? Storm chaser out there? Huh. Well, ain't that something? Well, ain't that something? Alright, guys, so we're keeping track on this here. Looks like that tornado warning is still in place. This one back here was allowed to expire for the time being. This is still really beefed up over here. Really powerful storm here. Definitely notable straight line on the front of this here. The couplet is going to be more embedded. That almost looks like power flash back here, but I can't really confirm if it's lightning or not because it's blowing it out on the camera. So it's kind of hard to tell if that is or isn't power flashes. But if there is a tornado on the ground, it would be back off to the southeast. Before I started live streaming, I was able to see the tornado on the Florence webcam there on that Hazcam, and it was a very hefty sized tornado. It looks like on radar right now, it's kind of going linear. I am seeing more of a wind threat now on this radar. I don't know if they'll extend that tornado warning any further. I still have a webcam open trying to get a visual on it if it's still on the ground. Cannot confirm if it is or isn't, but based on radar scans, it does not look like it is.
Right as you said that, they just extended it out only to a radar indicated. That's going all the way to Altmore over Elmont. That's northbound.
Good copy. Yeah, that rotation's very hard to spot in the radar. I can see it, but it really blends in with the rest of the winds around there on the leading edge. Alright, so that tornado warning is just about to be extended, it looks like. Coming through here, we'll see it within the next few scans, probably. Waiting for that. Wait, hold up. There's that extension. Yep, I'm still not seeing it. It doesn't look very impressive to me right now. Though it did produce a tornado, and it may produce one again. You can almost see right there that leading edge. Right there. You can almost see that leading edge there. I don't really see any lowering right now. I'm trying my best. I wish this camera had a night mode on it. Alright, guys. Yes, that tornado warning was extended all the way out here to Ardmore. And it doesn't look like Tennessee has it warned at all. It is just Alabama. It will be exiting the state up this way by Ardmore. So everybody here from Anderson, Lester, Elkmont, Thack, Hollingen, Ardmore, all of these named cities within this pink area here. You're going to want to go ahead and get into your tornado shelters. As this has been known to produce a tornado in the past, we were live when it did. We were live when it was producing back here in Killen, moving up this way. Now it really looks like it is starting to almost become a wind threat here, as this looks like a major wind pocket. But you can see that this is more so of a large couplet. Since it's so hard to visualize, you really won't be able to see it, because it's not like on the leading edge necessarily. It's back a little bit. You've got this leading edge here where you're going to have your wind field. You're also going to have a couplet here. It's very hard to explain how this one is. I did get visuals on it from a chaser earlier who said this is exactly where it is in the storm. And you got a few miles of leading edge here where there's a wind field and a lot of RFD on it as well. And it looks like we also have a flood warning that is live here. Moderate flooding for Big Nance Creek at Cortland from Sunday to early Tuesday. 16 feet, water begins to cover the roads of south of downtown Cortland. The stage was at 3.4 feet. Bankfull stage is at 12 feet. The river is expected to rise above flood stage tomorrow afternoon to a crest of 17 feet early Monday afternoon. This tornado was on the ground over Killen when it was down. It was down. We'll get a track on it here. Yeah, you can really see that couplet right there more than anything. You can see it right there moving through Florence, right through the town of Florence, right there in the heart of town by Pine Street. Veterans Drive to the North Alabama Medical Center. I do want to get a track on what that looked like coming through town. We're going to try and get it going here real quick. It's very hard to see if it actually did any damage here. I mean, I can't get 3D on it. Hey, buddy, I'm here on live stream looking at radar. Do you know if that tornado did any damage between Florence and Killen? Waiting on a call back from my buddy down there.
And I'm also keeping eyes down.
Amber! Does anyone know if I could sleep? Northwest Huntsville, Alabama. Northwest Huntsville. This storm is going to go clear of Huntsville. Yes, you should be fine. Though later in the evening, I would expect some storms to move into the area nonetheless. We will keep a track on those for you. It looks like a lot of these aren't going to be tornado potential, yet I would not take my eyes off the possibility of there being tornadoes. And now we do have a tornado warning in Minor Hill, with that line moving over to webcam. Cody, this is still practically the tornado atmosphere around here. I mean, these storms are capable, especially when you're in that that kind of quasi-linear system here. I mean, they're gonna be able to spin up tornadoes nonetheless. We're gonna go to Ardmore, Tennessee, and look at their webcam. You can see the storm way off over here still. Wish I could pop this out a little bit. So this entire area is under a tornado warning as far north as Beach Hill, Tennessee, almost to Diana, and as far south as Pisgah, Alabama, which is right outside of that warning box. Currently, the tornado warning storm appears to be moving into Tennessee at this time. It is moving to the northeast at about 45 miles an hour. I do believe it will turn into more of a wind threat as the night goes on. I do believe it will turn into more of a wind threat, Cody. As you can see, these are moving very quick now. As you can see, this leading edge right here is moving very quickly. We're going to watch for any sort of low hanging here. You know, I mean, it's moving into this camera now. It is like right over top of it. All this lightning is not helping, you know, with it being so close to the camera. We might not be able to see anything, really. This camera will likely not be able to see anything. Ardmore, Tennessee, we're going to be using your camera again here. Just kind of taking a look out front here. For any sort of notable lowering along this edge. While we're waiting on an update here, we're going to go down here and check out the Yazoo City area. These severe thunderstorm warnings down in this area, in the Jackson area. These storms are looking beefy down here. Very, very powerful QLCS. 60 plus mile an hour winds. That's probably the main threat down here right now, what I'm looking at is these winds down here are going to be strong. You know, these winds are going to be powerful down here as the remains of this QLCS pushes through. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a spin-up tornado, you know, out ahead of these here. Looking at Jackson, Mississippi, as it moves northeast, I wouldn't be surprised if we get any sort of, you know, tornado threat that pops up. And in these cells out front, you know, that tornado watch getting extended further south may happen. It may. You know, I'm not opposed to the idea of them extending it out to at least, you know, the middle of the state. But I don't know, you know, because I think it will honestly happen. I think you'll see that tornado watch kind of get maybe boosted out to just past Birmingham if it were to get boosted out. It'll probably come down here, kind of follow the highway down, and then drop down here and, you know, kind of follow the county lines up. I don't know if it'll go all the way across the state yet or not, but if they do extend it, I think it'll be that little corner right here that encompasses Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Utah, Demopolis, York. All these cities really, like, within this general area is probably your chances of it getting extended, if they were to extend that tornado watch out east anymore. Alright, let's see what Nashville radar's seeing. Nashville's barely seeing anything, but there is still a notable couplet here from Nashville's point of view. So everybody within this tornado warning, go ahead and take your shelters, treat it as if it is on the ground, because it may very well be on the ground. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the high top radar here. We're not seeing too much. We are seeing a little bit of action up here, though it does look like it is on the downward trend. As you can see here. Now these storms down here, like I said, may end up producing. They're along that line, that QLCS there. I need to go ahead and change my colors over here real quick to match. There we go, that's a lot easier to see now, for me at least. Alright. So we do have this tornado warning live up here still. These are the only 2 tornado warnings live right now. These tornado warnings are only issued simply because they did produce back here, and it still is capable of producing again. Even though our radar imagery is looking a little less favorable for the production of a tornado currently, I would take this seriously, as if it can and will produce again. As we can see here, there's a very, very Christmas tree-like colors over here from Nashville coming in. We're going to get kind of a read on that out of Florence. I'll show you what we're seeing. You see that couplet coming through here. You can see it right there. I'm going to follow it all the way through. Yeah, you can see it real good right there coming through. And it's on that trend where you're getting that darker color again. That darker blues become visible again. That couplet seems to be tightening up based on what we can see here on this. Based on Nashville. And up here, too, you can really see, these colors just popping off like a Christmas tree. And that is a real good sign that, winds are being thrown around towards and away from the radar, which is why we see those multiple different types of colors. Here we are right here, very bright colors coming into Bethel. So this is what is going to look like your couplet right here. All the way through here, you're going to have a very large, notable couplet based on Nashville's radar. We're going to look at the high top radar and kind of confirm what we're seeing here. You can almost see it here just a little bit. Now, this radar is KHTX. It is an actual radar. Nashville is pretty far away, but it is showing some Christmas tree colors up there. So, we're going to take a look at the different tilts here. Kind of just get a look. You kind of see that little pocket there. I mean, down here, I'm not really sure at the time, I haven't really gotten a chance to go over models yet, which I will go ahead and do right now, actually. We're going to go ahead and look into tomorrow, or later today, so to speak. or the southeast. Really look at that tornado potential. So what I'm going to do is flip over here. I'm going to flip over here and turn on my model runs for you. And we're going to take a look down here through later on as the day goes. So you're going to see this is your SIGTOR parameters right here. As you can see, they move into Alabama, and your best chance of tornadoes is going to be right down here throughout the day, along this ridge right here. It's not very colorful, but you do have your tornado chances throughout the state. And it looks to be through central Alabama down to the Gulf Coast, where you can see that moisture just being brought all the way up. And we do see almost 3 here. We might actually have 3 here somewhere. Let's go ahead and get a reading on that. Yeah, as you can see here, you do have a cap in place, almost an inversion. But I mean, it is a very notable. So we will be watching out for this area as the day unfolds. As you can see, it's very quick, and then it's gone. That's your tornado potential right there. Your best tornado potential is going to come through this part of the state. As you can see here, it just, from earlier to now, and I mean, what we're looking at, this is 12 Eastern time, and we're 22 minutes past that. As you can see, even up here, there's not really that much tornado potential yet. One tornado we had up through here. You know, we had a tornado in this general area already. And it does, so it shows you, it just goes to show you don't have to have dark, you know, or not dark, but you don't have to have deep colors like this for a tornado to happen. Now, I will go ahead and check some other models as I want to see what the HRRR thinks it's going to happen. As you see over here, the HRRR has a deep color right here in eastern or western Alabama, almost northwestern Alabama. It's at a 4.2. We're going to take a look at that and kind of get a reading on that, where you can see that your effective layer STP is still low, even though you got this big jump right here, and you don't even have really. Yeah, you do. You have a 500 to 700 cap in place here at about. Let's see here. I can't read those numbers. 3 to 6 kilometers. That's gonna blow off relatively easily when those storms blow in. Now, what we're gonna also do is roll in here at Supercell Composite and kind of just look at what we're gonna have supercell wise. That's your chances of supercells being able to form. Right? So, like, it's gonna be the same sounding again, but I just want to show you guys what we're looking at here. I'm going to kind of give you a reading on this, kind of describe everything I'm looking at here. Let me set everything back up. Alright, so this is in Alabama tomorrow, across the central of the state, almost on the western side of the state. This is the 16Z run here, which would make the timing on this about 12:11 Central in the general Tuscaloosa area. The thermodynamic profile displays a classic loaded gun sounding, distinct separation between the warm surface air and a cooler mid-level air mass, indicative of a prime severe weather environment. That red line over there, it sharply rises at 73 degrees, then bends leftward between 850 and 700 millibars, signaling a notable capping inversion. It's mostly eroded by 16Z, though. The profile straightens and cools more gradually with height, suggesting modest mid-level lapse rates between probably like 6.7 degrees Celsius. The dew line over here, it's hugging that temperature curve near the surface, which implies a very moist boundary layer conditions. Dew points are around 70, as it says in the bottom there, highly supportive of buoyant convection. It then diverges slightly around 850 millibars, illustrating that dry air entrainment aloft, which enhances that downdraft potential and storm intensity. So you can see this white line here that kind of just dashes upwards, right? That is your partial path, and it shows a strongly positive buoyant layer beginning just above the surface with no significant convective inhibition present. Your ML-SIN is 15 joules per kilogram. The partial rises freely from the surface, that robust cape of at least 2230 joules per kilogram, and your surface base of 2493, which strongly supportive of deep and sustained updrafts. So now we're going to go down here and look at your LFC and your LCL. Your LCL is approximately 807 meters, which is a very low cloud base. You're going to have your very low cloud bases down here. So it's going to be very low base. So what I want to also show you is our wind barbs here. As you can see, they're well-organized veering wind profile, and it's clockwise turning with height, which is transitioning from the southeast to the southwest at about 500 millibars and westerly aloft. Those wind speeds increase with height, exceeding 50 knots by the 500 millibar range. And that vertical shear is supportive of rotating supercells. Your hodograph shape over here presents a long curved structure. Look at that low 3 kilometer area with looping evident in the lowest 1. And you can see that's a textbook signal here for storm relative helicity. Your 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative helicity is 267 meters squared per second squared, and your 0 to 3 kilometer SRH is 329 meters squared per second squared. And those values do support strong mesocyclonic potential and are well within the range associated with significant tornadoes. Your critical angle over here measured at 49 degrees, a value which is conducive to strong and vertically stretched low-level rotation. The ideal values typically lie between 30 and 60 degrees. Your storm motion vector located here at the top left of the hodograph, suggesting right-moving supercells, likely tracking northeast as we're seeing. Your SI and composite parameters here in the bottom, all 5 STP calculations show values ranging between 3.5 and 5.0. Anything above 1 is significant. Above 2 indicates potential for strong to violent tornadoes, particularly when supported by synaptic scale forcing. Our SARS analog matches over here include March 12th, 2022 and April 10th, 2009, which both, if you remember, are historic tornadic environments. Those suggest a strong historical precedent for tornadic supercells, long tracked and strong. Our possible hazard type over here is marked Tor, as you can see. It's derived from a combination of CAPE, shear, SRH, and LCL metrics, identifying it as a tornadic environment. Your storm type indicator, your STI, the curved vector in the storm slinky, as you can see, supports discrete rotating updrafts in a not really as linear as we would think. But what I'm seeing is a possibility here that cells are going to be able to form. Now, just because all those charts are saying what they're saying does not mean it's going to happen that way, you know? I mean, everything has to be right, you know? Just because you do have that supercell composite and that SIG-TOR overperforming like that doesn't mean you're going to have those cells in place to do it. You know, they have to be able to be there at the time of the prime atmosphere to be able to do that. They have to be able to be in place and there when that atmosphere hits that prime time. And if they're not, it misses that prime atmosphere, and you know you just don't get anything, which is what we hope for. Is, you know, I can see 48 hours out, and it looks like it just moves across here across the state. This is just ARRR, by the way. So you know, we're not really. I don't know why it's doing that. Why I can't get it to just zoom out for me. Oops. I wish I could get it to zoom out. There we go. I guess I'll do it like that. Yeah, I'll do it like that so you guys can see everything. Alright, so this is later on in the day. This is at 18Z. We're going to go ahead and kind of describe what we're looking at here later on in the day. So, like earlier, you know, we have that same, except it almost looks like a stronger lower cap there. I'm going to go ahead and kind of dive into this. So, this is just east of Tuscaloosa and approaching the Birmingham Metro. The intense profile is signaling for a significant severe weather event. But the question is, will it happen? You know, the sounding right here depicts an environment becoming increasingly primed for tornadic supercells. Cape increasing, shear profiles improving, inhibition continues to weaken, all under a strongly veering wind profile. You know, your thermodynamics over here with your surface temp and dew point at 73 and 71, which is very warm and extremely moist. You have your parcel path over here, indicating virtually no convective inhibition. Any lift will result in explosive updrafting. Your surface-based cape is 2,491, while your mid-layer cape is 2,197. These robust cape values do suggest that deep buoyant parcels will rapidly ascend. Steep lapse rates aloft aid in both updraft speed and hail potential, which we do have to watch out for, that hail potential coming in. So we're looking over here at our LCL, which is our lifted condensation level, which is at just 767 meters, which really means it is supportive of tornadic development due to the low cloud bases enhancing vertical vorticity stretching. And your LFC over here at 1,005 meters, allowing for that rapid storm initiation upon surface lifting. We do have that D cape at 850 plus joules per kilogram, which is high, meaning damaging wind potential remains persistent and very present throughout the day, especially with those collapsing cells or RFDs. Kind of like we're seeing tonight, that D cape is high in that tornado that happened in northwestern Alabama. You had a lot of RFD right behind that couplet there. So we're going to go ahead and look at the hodograph over here and your wind shear, which is in your top right here. You can see that just big bounce over there with 0 to 1 kilometer shear at 36 knots, your 0 to 3 at 52, and your 0 to 6 at 65. Those are ideal for sustained rotating updraft and discrete supercells. Anything that can form out in front of the dying QLCS will be able to be a cellular formation for a while there. Our storm relative helicity, which is also known as our SRH, is 323 meters squared per second squared at the 0 to 1 kilometer level, and at the 0 to 3 kilometer level, it is 374 meters squared per second squared, which is extremely supportive of a mesocyclonic development and strong tornadoes, particularly combined with this much cape. This beautifully curved long hodograph right moving storm motion vector, 233 degrees at 44 knots, shows a strong preference for supercells tracking northeastward. Your critical angle is now at 45 degrees, right in the sweet spot between that 30-60 range for tornadic potential. That storm structure indicator over here on your mid panels, which is your slinky, you see that helicity structure, indicating robust rotating updrafts through the depth of the troposphere. Those wind barbs over here on our left square, going up kind of the right side of that left square, its surface easterlies transitioning to a westerlies aloft, a textbook veering profile, that warm air advection and directional shear. Your temp profile over here, right at the skew T, suggests steep lapse rates in the low and mid levels. So basically, what we're looking at right now is, hold up, let me get back down to where I was. I have a tendency to blink and forget where I am. Remember what I mentioned earlier, that SYN is at 4.3 on the STP, and without SYN, it is 5.6. STP values above 1, like I said, are concerning. Above 4 is high and significant, especially for that long track EF2 potential. The top matches here right now we're looking at are 11-24-01 and 03-25-21. That day, 3/25/21 was particularly violent across Alabama. Our SARS percentage for Tor is 43% down here with 7 loose matches. And over here at, let's see, I think that's 85-89% SIG for SARS. Those analog matches and percentages strongly reinforce that isolated tornado risk tomorrow throughout the state. So basically, this is going to be, if in the right place at the right time, a classic tornadic supercell environment for central Alabama, with that extreme low-level moisture at high Cape and minimal inhibition, which make for a volatile setting. That strongly veering and strengthening wind with high yield extreme shear, particularly in the lowest 3 kilometers. The STP values are over 4 with the low LCLs and high SRH, and historic analogs all point towards that long track potential. Storms that do initiate in this environment are likely to become tornadic. We don't know if they will be able to perform like this, though. There is a slight risk, 5% chance for tornadoes tomorrow. And for today, for us in the Eastern time zone. So we're going to keep eyes out on that. As that moves through the state later in the day. So back over here, we're going to close this out. Go back over to our radar. Which it looks like in 6 minutes they're about to let this tornado warning expire. Which is good, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't want anybody getting hurt. And these cells down here, we're gonna go ahead and get a radar view on them. They're still this part of that QLCS, that leading edge right there, is looking very powerful still. Very powerful storms. You can see that Boeing starting to come out there, that Boeing sector. These severe thunderstorms are the main threat of them is going to be that strong wind gust of upwards of 60. miles an hour. Alright, so that's kind of where we're at right now. We're all caught up here. We're gonna look up at Tennessee here and kind of see what's going on here at this. It's kind of the same thing that QLCS moving through does have that tornado potential all throughout the line. As you can see, that just fired up again real quick, and all throughout here, all I will say does have that chance for tornadoes tonight. Watching into Alabama early in the day, these cells here I think are going to be our problem later on if they hold out and they can be long track as the day opens up. You will probably see cells fire along this area here, along this line, which will, your tornado potential will likely rise through this part of the state here. North of Montgomery by a bit. You know, I'm going to see our tornado potential really rise south of Chattanooga to the southwest through Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Meridian, in Mississippi. I wish I could draw for you guys. I really wish I could. I'm still figuring this app out. I don't know if you can draw on it or not. Alright, here's without our, you really only see what you want to see, so I mean, if you have your full, you can see everything. Smoothing is really nice for those who don't, you know, understand kind of what they're looking at. This kind of really makes it look like more of an actual radar, like you'd see on your weather apps. But I really like to keep it no smooth. I'm trying to be able to draw here. I don't think we can, actually, on here, which I'm trying to figure out. You know, I'm still trying to figure everything out. I am going to go ahead and show you guys what we're looking at for day 2 here on our outlooks. Here is our... Okay, that has been updated. So, that really puts into perspective our tornado risk here is at 5%. 5%. Like, it's that really isolated, you know, it's a positive tilt trough. And you really want that negative tilt when you're looking at severe weather. That negative tilt, but that positively tilted trough will be moving through come tomorrow. In your wind hatch, you're going to have a lot of a wind problem more than anything, I really think. Hail doesn't look like there's any hail. Now here, we still have that high risk for rainfall up here. We're really looking at that flood risk. But really, based on what I'm seeing model-wise so far for day 2, of that tornado, I'm really seeing the tornado risk actually being more up this way. But I am seeing those models trend for a little bit of blue popping up off that STP down to the Gulf. No further north than Birmingham. It's really going to die out right here, but a lot of your color is coming up here in the northwest part of that 5%. Which, if we go back over to models here, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, up here is really where it's going to be. You know, you do have some color popping down here, which I would, you know, everywhere in here is still a risk for tornadoes, which I would always look out for. I will tell you every time, you know, just because your colors aren't this, you know, like, just because you're not having colors like this doesn't mean you shouldn't watch out. Let's go ahead and get you that SIGTOR parameters back here. We go through, yeah, as you can see, here's your SIGTOR parameters. You got these dark colors up here. It's really going to be in the northwest part of that 5%, which you can really see. This is where your 5% is. You know, this is all your 5% right here. And I really think that it's going to be more up this way. This is by noon. As you can see, it really stays north of the center of the central part of the state here, central Alabama. Right now, at least. So what I'm looking at here is definitely a tornado chance up in the northwest part of that. There, as we read this earlier here, this is that 16Z outlook, which I will go over it again, kind of, and point everything out. I will kind of go over everything again to kind of show you what we're looking at. With your surface temp and dew point around 73 and 70, which is that very moist surface layer, you know. Oh, excuse me. Your LFC and LCL over here, which is your lifted condensation level, it's at 807 meters, which is at very low cloud bases. You can see down here, it is very, very low cloud bases. I kind of went over this earlier. If you want to watch it later, I'll go over it again. If you guys want me to go over it again, I'll gladly go over it again. If you guys want me to go over that again, just let me know. I'm going to open up chat here, so if you guys want me to kind of talk about it more. If not, I'll just kind of show you. Caitlin, Ardmore, Alabama. Yes, we were just going over that tornado risk there with that tornado coming through. It looks like they did let that tornado warning expire. So the Ardmore area, you should be all good to go for the night. I am watching more storms down here, though. Let's go back to radar over here. Kind of get you a look as it's moving past the Ardmore area. These storms are moving into Tennessee right now. And it doesn't look like there's that much of a tornado chance anymore from these right now. Though, I am keeping eyes when it gets up here that it may try produce. I don't think it will. It's getting out of that prime atmosphere for tornadoes. So your best chance for tornadoes are going to be these cells right here. And then again down here in the Jackson area. So I'm kind of going to go over one more time for Central Alabama tomorrow. We're looking at our model runs here. This is our HRRR model run. Our surface temperature is 73 degrees, and our surface dew point is 71 degrees, which is very, very moist. Nearly saturated low levels. This screams low LCL tornadic potential, which is your lifted condensation level, around 737 meters to 807 meters. Extremely low bases. And if you could read down here with me, you'll see that our surface-based CAPE is 2,337 joules per kilogram. Our mid-layer CAPE is 1,932 joules per kilogram. The strong buoyancy here supports explosive updrafts. And you also have here, up above all that, what I'm looking at is your most unstable CAPE, which is at 2,790 joules per kilogram. There's virtually no inhibition in place. Any strong surface convergence or lift will break the cap. As you can see, it's very weak cap right here, very weak. That'll blow right open. You know, our lapse rates are 0 to 3 kilometers, 6.6 degrees Celsius per kilometer, and 700 to 500 millibars of 6.8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. The mid-level lapse rates are strong and supportive of hail. Like I said earlier, we got to watch for that large hail. Even though there's not really a notable hail risk, it's lower end at that slight risk. But I will note that you got to watch for that hail. You know, you got to watch for that hail tomorrow too. So our hodograph analysis over here, I'm going to go ahead and go over that one more time for everybody to kind of see. You can see it's extremely curved over here, that big old bounce with strong length and clockwise turning. Your 0 to 1 kilometer SRH is at 257 meters squared per second squared. Your 0 to 3 kilometer SRH is at 323 meters squared per second squared. And your 0 to 6 kilometer bulk shear is 58 knots. That is strong, deep layer shear. Our critical angle over here at 49 degrees, which is textbook for tornadogenesis. This hodograph does support long-lived mesocyclones with the ability to rapidly rotate at the low level. So our SIGTOR parameter with convective inhability is 4.2. Without is 5.7. Your supercell composite is up at 18.4. Our SIG hail down here at 3.1. So the effective SRH is 264 meters squared per second squared. Now you might be wondering, Casey, what does that all mean? What does all these numbers mean? What is SRH? What is SIG? What is SCP, STP? You know, these values are strongly supportive of significant tornadoes. So you're probably asking, well, that explains that, but what does everything else mean? So you might be wondering, what is SFC? Oh, well, that's your surface. Your CAPE, that's your convective available potential energy. You know, your energy for upward motion. Your MU CAPE is your most unstable. Your ML CAPE is your mixed layer CAPE. Your SB is your surface-based CAPE. SIN, convective inhibition, which is your negative energy, and it suppresses storm development. Again, we got that MU, ML, and SB SIN, which is that most unstable mixed layer and surface-based. Your LCL, your lifted condensation level, and that's your height where an air parcel first condenses, which is your cloud base. Your LFC is your level of free convection. Your parcel becomes positively buoyant and rises. And you're wondering, well, I see EL up there in the top corner. That's your equilibrium level. That's where parcel stops rising. So that's as high as it gets. That's the cloud tops. Right there, that is your echo tops. Your LI down there is your lifted index, which is negative values, unstable, right? So your TT is your totals index, which is your storm strength indicator. PWatt. I explained this to a lot of people. Your PWatt is your precipitable water and the depth of water in the atmosphere if all vapor was condensed. Now we're going to go down into the wind shear parameters over here on the other side, which is your SRH. Now you heard me talk about SRH a lot earlier, and you're probably like, "What is SRH?" Like, I may not know what SRH is. That is your storm relative helicity, which your rotation potential in the low levels. That's your tornado talk. Your SFC is helicity in the lowest 1 kilometer. Your SFC3 is your helicity in the lowest 3 kilometers. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, SFC is surface. So that is your surface level helicity. Your surface helicity at the 1 kilometer. So you got that SFC 1 km SRH, which is your surface 1 kilometer storm relative helicity, and the same for 3 kilometer. You got that shear at the surface 6 kilometer, which is bulk wind difference from surface to the 6th kilometer. Your EFF shear is your effective bulk, which is your shear in the effective storm inflow layer. Your low-level jet, the LLJ, which I talk about this a lot. I talk about the low-level jet a lot. You know, that is your strong wind in the 850th millibar. So all of this, what we're looking at is the skew T. You know, the main thermodynamic diagram. Your hodograph over here in the top right, all that bouncy stuff. That's the wind profile with your height. And your critical angle down here is the angle between storm motion and low-level shear, which your ideal tornado range is between 30 and 60 degrees. And that's on the higher end there. You're about 10 off from the 60th degree. Your LEC is your location of effective inflow layer, and obviously, your possible hazard type down here. Tor, tornado, Sig Tor, significant tornado. So basically, that's kind of breaking down this entire model here and what we're looking at. Now, it looks like that tornado threat has kind of veered off for the night. Looking back down here, these are still really, really warm for this very linear line. It's just moving northeast. So, I mean, if you're in here, you're in here. It's moving at northeast. You're probably not getting out of this for a while. So just enjoy that rain when it moves in, Just maybe take a good shower when you're out there. I'm kidding. Well, guys, I just wanted to tune in and kind of give you a quick update. We may be live later if another tornado warning comes and it's actually a PDS tornado or there is a confirmed tornado on the ground. But until then, I think I'm going to let the stream go. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a quick update and a quick warning about that tornado earlier. So, everybody, I hope you sleep tight. Our DMs are open, so we will try our best to get back to you if you have any questions or anything you want to tell us. But right now, we are just looking at the severe thunderstorm warnings, which all expire within the next 45 minutes unless extended. Now, our flash floods, they're going to be here for a while. We are talking about flooding in a large area here, very large area, all the way out from almost down to the coast in Louisiana to tops of Michigan and Wisconsin here. So we have a large area with flood potential, even all the way down to the coast, actually, here with the coastal flood advisories. All right, everyone. Good night. Stay safe. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow to kind of go over the weather event, whether in a post or a live stream. I will have something out for you guys. Like I said, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry.